Hello, RGL TV and the Sega crew and fans alike. Welcome. And we bring to you the first. Is this the first? Yeah.
First one.
Sega Ring of Champions, the first one. And we bring to you a Shinobi Genesis Trilogy race. Yes. And so for those of you out there wondering what this is, as you can see, it is beating all of the Shinobi releases on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, which includes Revenge of Shinobi, Shadow Dancer, and Shinobi 3, all in one go. For our runners, we have Sheem Gabriel, Cyphrin, and Feta PG, and they're all very great runners of multiple different games from various different consoles, many Sega games alike, and all of them are bona fide Shinobis. So it should be a very interesting run, and I look forward to it, and I hope you all enjoy it as well. Gonna see a few different tricks for each game. Not too many difficult glitch tricks to pull off in Revenge or Shadow Dancer. Most of those big ones are gonna come around Shinobi 3. So if you're a person who is really interested in seeing any of the glitches or tricks that are pulled off, mainly kind of stick around for Shinobi 3. But if you're just more or less into seeing the true skill that it takes to pull off beating all three of these games in one go, everyone is in for a treat. That's all I gotta say. So without further ado, if the runners want to introduce themselves, start with Sheem and go through.
They might have their mics muted.
Yeah, he has his up there. He's up.
Oh no, I was muted. Sorry, but hey everyone, good evening. My name is Sheem, and hope you have a good time with this game. It's been a while since I last did the Shinobi Genesis Trilogy, so it'll be a fun run. It'll be a fun ride with Scythe and Fed. And let's go.
All right, awesome. Next in line.
Go ahead, Fetty.
Hello, I'm Fede PG, and I hope to do a PB today.
Nice.
And I'm
last, but certainly not least.
Yeah, I'm Cyphrin. Just as I told these fine folks here, I'm a body for the pyre that is the Ring of Champions. So yeah, we're gonna have a great time. Hope you all enjoy it as well. And yeah, ready to Shinobi it up.
Alrighty, it sounds like all three racers are raring to go. So without further ado, I guess we shall be ready to go on the timer. Now, the timing generally starts based on SRL rules, but I don't know if we kind of went through that, but I'm pretty sure we're going to start it on start instead of the normal start time of Revenge, which is usually after you gain control of Joe Musashi. So if Booster is ready on the timer, I will give you guys a good old countdown starting at 3. All right. Is everyone ready?
Yep.
Ready?
Yes.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, go. Good luck, racers.
Thank you. Gonna need it. I'm gonna need it.
And so, first game in the trilogy is Revenge of Shinobi. This was a very successful release for Sega at the time. It was their first foray into bringing a sequel from an arcade game directly to console only. So there was no arcade Revenge of Shinobi, even though Shinobi 1 was released on the arcade in multiple different ports. They chose to truly bring in that whole message they were trying to deliver with, we can bring you arcade quality games to your home. And this was a prime example of it, and it was very successful. Okay, they're going through the first stage. And get the chat up. And so a main speed strat for this run is that the runners are going to try and keep and preserve the POW. And you'll notice that they have the POW by when they're walking, you'll see that Joe is holding 2 knives, like almost like a cross in front of him. That's blocking, and that is only available when you are in the POW state and just moving. So they're all going to try and use that to their advantage for a lot of enemies throwing stuff in front of them. Other than that, the power-up does 3 times the damage, just like in Shinobi 3. And in Shadow Dancer, it's a pretty prevalent mechanic throughout all of Shinobi. Nice, and Sheem just took out the first boss with the quick kill. As you guys all saw, he did a little ninja kunai flare there and hopped into the box and just did a few sword slashes, and that's quick work of that boss. Ooh. And unfortunately, Revenge was no stranger to that arcade mentality of quarter eating. And they threw in a lot of difficult jumps in this game. You may be thinking, oh, well, double jump, that's okay. They got a double jump. And Sheem is actually making it look pretty easy to pull off. But what most people don't know is that it is very, very close to a frame perfect input to pull off a double jump. You have to pull it off right at the tip of the height of your first initial jump. And if you don't really have the timing down, it can be a very, very discouraging element to this game. Most runners, when they first start running this game, that will be the first complaint they have is, wow, why does the double jump feel so odd? Why does it feel so odd? Why can't I get this down? And that's because it is a very hard mechanic in the game in general.
Yeah, and another waterfall here. One thing that's good to note is that the entire cycle of these platforms here are based on your movement. So if you do the exact same thing every time, which isn't the thing I'm doing right now, but if you do the exact pattern of movement, you can get the best cycle possible for the platform. So what I wanted to do here is like trying to get the perfect positioning and trying to get the platforms on the exact spot. But since I'm messing up, I'm like wasting a lot of time, and this is why I'm like taking a lot of time to pass through, because I'm trying to get used to backups in case I mess up a single input or something. So each input here on the waterfall counts because of the way the platform works, and it isn't the only place we do that. We're gonna see later on doing that exact pattern of movement in order to get the best results.
Very well said, Sheem. Yes, exactly. And as you can see now, Sheem and Cypherin are both on to the next stage of stage 2, or sorry, scene of stage 2. And it is kind of like the night city life. It's kind of a funny dynamic that you go from a waterfall into a city, but And now it's time for the dance club. The quick kill on this boss is you gotta try and get him to jump underneath and then spam as many kunai bursts as you can with a power.
Exactly. Like if you match the buttons there, you can extend your kunai burst, and then since the Shadow Dancer there doesn't have iframes, you can basically kill it while he's in midair. So that's the best quick kill for this fight.
And is the club boss the final boss from the original Shinobi?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Honestly, I think it might be.
That kind of yellow
I'm
devil?
gonna do research on that right now. Which would be a running theme, too, that we would see, because in Shinobi 3, you fight the brother of the boss of Revenge. That would be pretty funny. I'm looking that up right now.
They take their lore serious.
I was talking about the moving pattern. So this the airplane also is a place where we do that, because those doors there, if we pass through it while it's open, it's an instant kill. So we don't want to get passed through those doors while it's open. So there's a way to manipulate them by moving up on the same way we do every time. And yeah, that was the end of the stage 3.
One thing to note about that previous scene that Sheem just got through is that if you double jump, you kind of go through the fences too. And you'll see that mechanic having a lot in this game, the whole like double jumping from the foreground to the background of the scene, especially on the bridge. That's a notorious scene in this game. And you guys will all know.
Now it's time for the ninjutsus to start coming up, because that was good. Oh my god, that was good.
It says that the final boss in Shinobi 1987 is Nakahara, the masked ninja with 4 ninjutsu techniques. His true identity is revealed to be Nakahara, Joe Musashi's mentor.
Ooh.
And then let's see. Revenge of Shinobi Club Boss.
Dum, 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 dum. Oops. Okay.
That's so funny. They call it, for the Godzilla fight, they call it a quote-unquote Brontosaurus.
No, you stupid door.
Dum, 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 dum.
Oh, and Sheem there is, in my opinion, one of the most difficult sections in this game. Just if he does a double jump trying to avoid some of this fire in the wrong spot, he can instantly fall to his death. So every single jump in this section is planned out, and he knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh my god, I messed up the inputs. Okay, so this fight here is a little complicated because you need to mash like a lot, and you need to take care of the cycles on this vehicle here, because you can't kill the 3 alarms there at once, but you need to be very precise with your inputs.
I'm pretty sure the world record by Dag, he does the kunai burst that takes out the first 2, but it doesn't fully take out the 3rd one. So he had to quickly go back and do like 2 hits on it at the end. But exactly what Sheem was saying is that there are very, very minute, subtle things in this game, especially the speed run of it, that if pulled off correctly are just massive time saves.
This is quite bad because I lost the only power up. Okay. We can talk about the the copyrights this game had back in
Many
the 80s,
copyright
right?
issues. Oh yeah.
So like
That's right, no diggity, Wu-Tang it.
like the boss on this stage here is a fair example of how Sega was caring about having copyright issues. Like the first release of this game like had a lot of copyright characters.
A lot of pop culture icons.
Yeah, such as Rambo and some other characters.
So the flamethrower enemies that Sheem like was fighting in some of the levels, and he said Rambo, those guys have bandanas and bald heads, and in the original, see that guy right there, and in the original he's clearly Rambo. Clearly no shirt on top, has a red bandana and flowing brown hair. It's like you clearly know it's Rambo. And then a boss fight that we have is the Terminator Hulk. So it looks like the Terminator, then it turns into the Hulk.
Yep.
And then we get the good old Spidey to Batman. So Spider-Man and Batman in the same fight. Oh my gosh, here it is. Let's go.
Yeah, the Spider-Man is the only character in this game that is trademarked.
Yeah.
Because Marvel had a good relationship with Sega back at the time with a lot of Spider-Man games. But
And I think that's also the reason why they went with the Godzilla, because a lot of people don't know, but in the late 70s and early 80s, Marvel actually had licensing rights to distribution for some of Godzilla likenesses because they had a comic series about Godzilla.
Oh, that's interesting. And yeah, and this enemy I defeated right now was supposed to be Batman. So yeah, there's a lot of there's another thing that was removed from the original version of the game. And now for the worst nightmare of this game, which is stage 7.
So you guys remember that double jump thing we were talking about? This level pretty much says, hey, if you don't know how to do that, you're not getting past this level.
Yeah, I think it's the nightmare full for every kid who played this game. Because yeah, it's a tight jump. You need to like be very precise on the double jump, and one wrong step and you fall into the water. Which isn't the thing I want.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, let's go. But yeah, there's a proper way. There's a safer way to do the double jump there. And if you get it correct, you don't need to worry about the double jump. But yeah, it's a hard jump there.
Now, Sheem is making his way through the inner weapons factory on his way to said Godzilla fight we were talking about, but I'm pretty sure that the version he is using, it's just going to show the skeleton, right? Or do you have the Brontosaurus one?
No, this is still the original one.
Yes.
The skeleton version.
Yes!
Yes!
The one I have has the skeleton. The actual physical copy I have of Revenge is skeleton version. And that's another thing that's funny about Revenge of Shinobi releases is that it's kind of like discussing comic variants. It's like, oh, well, which revision do you have? Well, I have the first one that was released when it first came out, and well, I got the one that happened after DC came after them. And it's like kind of funny to say. Nice. So this Godzilla fight is not easy either. It's very easy if you have POW and you time it right, but that flamethrower damage does a lot of hit points off of you.
Yep. And that escalates with the difficulty of the game. So on the hardest, it takes like 80% of your health.
Yep, one hit and you pretty much are almost done. You get 2 hits, I think, in the max difficulty. And that's if you are playing flawlessly up until that point, because if you guys have noticed in Sheem's health bar, actually all of the runners' health bars, it went from a very minute amount and now it's a very long bar, and that's because this game actually had like a pseudo experience level to it, but not really experience. It kind of just like gave you more health based on how long you went without dying or how many enemies you've killed in a level and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's based on
very weird
mechanic. Yeah, it's based on their high score, basically.
Oh, okay. See, yep. And then when you lose all your lives and start over again, you get a 0 high score. So then, nice. So that right there is the main clip of the game. That was a glitch, and I believe it was found by Bacon Omelet and further pushed through by like Sheem and Cool Hand Mike.
Actually, it was found out by a tester named Cool Hand Mike, but then the people in the community found a way to do it humanly possible. So yeah, it's actually the most recent technique found on the game, but it saves a lot of time.
Which is like 2 years now that it's been since it was found.
Like but yeah, it saves the nightmare of doing the whole the whole labyrinth, which is a huge pain, even on the speed run. And we're basically on the end of the first game already.
And That's because I liken DC to Nintendo Solo.
And time is when the. Okay, good. That was when we saved the. I think her name is Naoko. I think. But yeah, when we save her, it's when you press. We swap the game. So now we have to wait for like 30 seconds.
You do no shurikens or doing shurikens?
I'm doing shurikens. I think I never played without shurikens. But if I did, I didn't go much further. And okay, let's go. So now we're on the Shadow Dancer.
Okay, so I'm going to take a quick second to get dodge out real quick and put my daughter down to sleep real quick. I'll be right back in 5 minutes.
I think I can talk a little bit about the Shadow Dancer while Faust is away. But basically, you can see that this game is entirely different from the Revenge of Shinobi. That I think I would rather say that this game is more based on the original Shinobi rather than the Genesis titles. But yeah, here the entire thing is like you need to save all the hostages before you proceed through the next stage, and you follow a certain path in order to do that. And it's the shortest of the trilogy, and
it's the only Shinobi game with Yumata, the dog, who actually can help you.
Exactly. Yeah, we have the help of the dog here, and it's the the only game of the trilogy that's one hit KO. So we need to be very careful regarding taking damage on this game because it doesn't work the same as Revenge of Shinobi or Shinobi 3.
Yeah, it's all one hit kills, and you have a limited amount of continues, just like all the other Shinobi. So another very difficult game in this trilogy that gives you a whole other set of problems.
Yep.
And this is a bonus stage which returns back to the original Shinobi series, which had bonus stages.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't kill anybody, if you go pacifist there, you gain an extra 1-up. So you can basically kill everybody to get two ups, or going pacifist and getting the 1-up. It's just go by whatever you want to do. It doesn't save or lose time regarding what to do there, as long as you keep in the middle of the screen. So
well, and when the Shinobi Trilogy bounty was first announced, I believe, Sheem, you ran both Shadow Dancer and Shinobi 3 already, so Revenge was the only one you had to learn?
Yeah, no, actually, I did. I was learning Shinobi 3. Oh, I already did learn the game. But yeah, I was like, I already ran Revenge of Shinobi and Shadow Dancer when the bounty was announced. But shortly after, I was grinding Shinobi 3, so it was more easy for me to get on the trilogy. So this boss here, I want to try to go for a quick kill. Just waiting for the right position. Oh, let's go. That's how it's done. So yeah, this is the quick kill. If you press the ninjutsu button while the shuriken is right on the boss hitbox, you can like you still keep taking damage while you are casting the magic. So oops. So yeah, that was a good quick kill. It was a little delayed because you actually want the boss to get on a certain position, but it worked either way, so I'm gonna take that. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna get the true ups here, but okay. Oh yeah, I got the 10,000 points. Okay.
And Sheem, do you know the history behind the Grover strat and the quick kill?
Not exactly. I don't recall it right now. I just know that it exists. I don't know how it was found out. Oh my god. I didn't turn away because that cop there have a crowd shot, and I was like, and then if you don't turn it over real quick, you get killed easily.
I was gonna say I don't even know the full history behind the Grover quick kill there. I can tell you Grover is what I named him. Everybody picked up on it, but
hey, I thought the name of the boss was Grover, so I went along with it.
No, he just reminded me of Sesame Street, like an evil version of Grover. So that's why I always called him Grover. But from way back when, I remember watching a video of Tasco Deluxe doing it, who was like the world record holder for a very long time. And so ended up picking it up from him or watching him and even reaching out to him for an understanding of the game, which he was a huge help. Even constructed like his own practice round for Shadow Dancer that's been very helpful for a number of runners.
Yep.
Well, Cyphrin, did you come up with the doggo dance? Is that something else you named?
Yeah, that one that's mine. I created that, though. The doggo in terms of name comes from Zetox. I usually just called it the Shadow Dance, cough cough Shadow Dancer. So it was the Shadow Dance. But Zetox gave it a better name with the doggo dance. So.
And if anyone in chat's unaware, Cyphrin here ran Shadow Dancer, the game that Sheem's on, at was it SGDQ or AGDQ, Cyphrin?
AGDQ 2020 when it was in Florida.
And that was the boss, by the way.
And Faust, our host, ran it. And maybe that same event, I think AGDQ 2020 as well, the Kunai list category, which we'll see that game here as the finale in this race.
Yep, that's correct.
And Dagron ran recently the expert.
Yeah, just a couple months ago. Yeah.
Yep.
And he's the current world record holder, or was Bacon able to? I believe Dagron's still the world record holder. I could be wrong.
No, I think Bacon has since taken it back. Yeah, Bacon has since taken it back. And also, even going back to Shadow Dancer, we went when Tasco had it for many years. It went to Afro Ninja. He put in the grind to get it, and then Paul Saltine got it recently. I think this year.
That's right. This 2023, a big year in terms of new world records on the Shinobi boards.
Yep.
So yeah, stage 4, the worst stage of the entire Shadow Dancer. So there's a lot of enemies here and a lot of inputs being eaten. So we need to be very careful on those stages here.
Arnold, I'm sure Paul's around somewhere. I did hear that he got into a Hallmark movie Spiral this weekend, so he could also be watching some Hallmark movie right now.
Are you talking about Paul's Hallmark adventures?
This is what happens when you leave. This is why you should never leave, or we're gonna badmouth you.
I died right at the end of 4-2. This is bad.
Into the Shadows.
Yep.
Yep.
I was like,
This is-
I pressed jump. I was sad about inputs being eaten, and that was best case of it because my jump didn't go, and then I was stuck on the stairs, and then
This
from behind.
Into the Shadows, that scene in particular is what always kills my Shadow Dancer runs. Every other level I seem to have no problem with, but then as soon as I get to Into the Shadows scene 2, it's just okay, you've lost all faculties.
And the wheel boss is the worst RNG factor in this game. Like we want to get a fast kill here, but in order to do that, we need the wheel to cooperate with us. But if it doesn't, we just be stuck here without nothing to do. We could get the quick kill as we did with Grover, but the best way is when you start the boss fight, you basically press the ninjutsu button and then hope that it doesn't move so you can unlock it with your kunais, but you depend on the RNG there.
Yep. So essentially what the runners try to do is they're trying to hope that the cycle of RNG that the wheel is on for the damage it takes for the ninjutsu hits, its next move is the position that it's already spawned in. So it just doesn't move. And then they can just keep bah, bah, bah. My favorite vocal samples.
The last bonus stage of the game. Now we're on a Uni Lizard, which is a gauntlet with a lot of enemies and a lot of execution as well.
A lot of people cite Shadow Dancer for the Genesis as the better example of how you port something better than what was originally released. A lot of people say that the arcade version of Shadow Dancer is good graphically, but gameplay-wise is a little more difficult. And you can kind of see that emulated in the Master System port that they did for it. And because the Master System port of Shadow Dancer looks somewhat like the arcade sprites, has kind of the same height differentiation and everything. And the gameplay on it is just super, super, super unforgiving. And Grimshins knows all about that. He's one of the only people I've ever seen beat that game. And it took him a long time and lots of deaths. But this version, the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive version, is actually heralded as a really good game. It's a really good action platformer. It's not too long of a game. It's very easy to pick up. It's not like it has a big gate of skill that you have to have, almost like Revenge, where it's like, okay, in the second level, if you don't know how to double jump, you're pretty much getting screwed off. And the replay value actually has a lot to offer because you can play through the Shadow Dancer with either shurikens or without shurikens. And each one of those can be on a different level. And I think it's 3 levels, and each level determines the difficulty of enemies. So if you were to play in level 3, instead of the first stage being the typical enemies we see, it'd be like a lot more ninjas or a lot more shooters and various things like that.
And we're on the final boss of the Shadow Dancer.
Yep, this is the weakest boss in the entire Shinobi trilogy. It's literally just fighting hordes of enemies, and then just... I
wouldn't say that because I wouldn't call him the weakest of the trilogy because he can be very trolly. But
it's not him though. It's not him.
No,
it's a bunch of enemies he throws at you.
Yeah,
his general attack is a fire attack. Okay.
But yeah, that's the biggest part of it because if he casts the enemies really fast, there's no way we can't double hit the his weak spot, and then we get a lot of time lost because of it. So yeah, it looks simple, but it isn't.
especially the rolling and the clipping of the enemies as you see Sheen doing right there.
He basically did that.
Yep.
He basically did what I was talking about.
So essentially, he would have had enough time to take out those two enemies that flipped into each other, but since the boss did exactly what Sheem said, he spawned enemies way too early, almost like probably like a half cycle from what it usually should have been. So they kind of just stack on top of the two enemies that you had before, and it becomes crazy because you don't know if they're going to do rolls or if they're going to do... Well, I mean, we do know there is a set pattern, but when you have four enemies on the screen, you kind of get very mixed up very easily.
Yep. And
Trying to skip is not working. There's no
Got it, my friend. I believe in you. There it is. Oh, you almost had it. Let's see, Fetty almost on to Godzilla. Don't jump away. There you, yeah. Don't try and jump away. Try and just double jump to make sure you get it, and then start going from there.
Okay.
And the boss almost did it again with me on the second cycle. He's starting to fast spawn the enemies, and this is quite bad. I don't like that. Okay, now he's behaving. So yeah, time is when this
Ooh, you almost got
fades out. So just a little more, and then we can swap to Shinobi free. And there you have it.
And time on Shadow Dancer for Sheem. Moving on. Betty working up through this last most difficult level, in my opinion, of Revenge. This level is many lives lost whenever I run this game on this level alone. Cypher trying this last clip trick and almost succeeding, just missing it by a slight hair. There we go. Awesome. And so I'm going to explain that glitch a little bit because Sheem is moving on to Shinobi 3, and he already pulled that off, and Cypher is now doing this one. So essentially what you're doing is you're double jumping as Joe's leg is clipping into that corner of that platform, and this cancels the double jump animation and kind of keeps him in a crouch movement, but it also keeps him hovering on the different plane that makes it to where he can clip through the foreground and up top to where the heads up display is. All you do is walk to the right, fall off the side and hug the left wall, crouch to get underneath, and then stand up, and the game will push you right into the end of the maze, and that literally cuts out a huge amount of time for revenge runs. And it's pretty much standard to use that trick now if you want to have a good time. Betty opting to go for the maze route. Not too sure if it's because they don't know how to do the clip or if they are just opting for safe strats because they want to get a PB like they said earlier.
Question, if I die here or if I use Midgen, I still have a life, right?
Yes, you have a 0 life after that. But I don't think Mijin does too much damage to him, as I found out in my playthroughs.
I just want the help.
The health and life.
Yep.
My dog. It's always a good backup strat.
On Zed, I think he doesn't take damage from the Mijin.
Crap.
If he has his hair loose and you do Mijin, like if it's in the hitbox where he like does the whip and you can actually hit him, if you do the Mijin, then I think it does 1 HP of damage.
Oh, that's so fast. He got me. Oh, I forgot to use my ninjutsu. I will try again.
Unfortunately, since you took that continue, you are going to have to start over at the beginning of the stage, which
Yep.
It's never my friend. That's the point in which I'm like, I'm done with this run. Sheem already on his way to the first auto-scroller in Shinobi 3. Many of the players know, or many speedrunners know Shinobi 3. It is by far the most popular Shinobi speedrun. It has the most active community members, and it's been run at many GDQs now. It's been run, I think, a total of like 6 times now. So that's actually quite an incredible feat for one game.
So on Revenge of Shinobi, on the final boss, you pretty much get the Ninja Gaiden treatment, having to restart the whole level again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's unfortunate, but this was a different time, a different era. This was more skill-based, and oh well, that's how it is. Which, not to say that modern games don't have that, it's just there wasn't accessibility options as there is now. So like if you play easy on Revenge of Shinobi, you're still gonna have a hard time.
Oops.
Nice. So Fetty finishing up right there with Revenge. He'll be moving on to Shadow Dancer.
Oh man, that was bad.
Sheem kind of doing a little body volley with these enemies.
Yeah, like I got the quick kill on the second mid boss, but I completely missed the first dive kick on the beginning of the stage. Like the hardest I did, the easiest I missed. It happens. I'm kind of it's been a while since I last ran this game.
One of the main speed tech movements or movement techniques in the speed run of Shinobi 3 is fast dive kicking, and that's kind of like a nomenclature for me to say that. It's a misnomenclature, I should say, is it's not really a fast dive kick. The dive kick isn't being done faster when pulling it off, but essentially what we mean is you can, if you pull it off the inputs very well, you can essentially dive kick into a run and not lose your momentum of speed. So per se. So if you can pull that off, you'll see this seamless jump, dive kick, run movement. And that actually is pretty fun to pull off, and it actually helps with the movement of the game if you're on a very good flow. And you'll see that done in a lot of the speedruns of Shinobi 3, especially in the first stage. The first stage of Shinobi 3 is by far the most labbed out scene in, I wouldn't say most speedrun games histories, but it's up there with them because it is down to like the minute frame almost of how well you can pull it off. I'm sure there's going to be stuff that gets found out in a few years that we can do, but as of now, stage 1 just is always so labbed out to where it's like we'll be doing races between like me, Dagra, and Cure, and Bacon, and I'll be doing the route based on what I think is faster with Kunai-less, and it is fast in Kunai-less, but in any percent route that they're doing, it's like they're beating me by a cool 10, 13 seconds sometimes on the first stage, and it's purely due to the fact that they have labbed out stage 1 so well and so precise that if you don't follow it exactly, you're going to be losing time no matter what. Nice. Fetty taking care of that first boss on Shadow Dancer, and she moving on to my favorite stage of Shinobi 3, Body Weapon. I think it is the most well-designed and fun level as far as like enemies and the way that they're placed and the way that they come at you, and then the fact that it leads into the meat tunnel afterwards with that cool mechanic with the sinking ground and trying to hold you as the enemy boss that you're about to fight is shooting something at you from the background. just always captured me as a kid.
And this is the first instance where we do the ceiling zip.
It's a main clip technique in any percent, and if you don't pull it off, you're not going to have a good time with the speed run. You can play the game normally, it's just you're not going to have fast time, and if that's your goal in speedrunning the game, you got to learn these clips.
Let's go.
Nice. And Cypher now moving on to Shadow Dancer.
Yeah, woo, we beat it. Woo, yeah.
GG.
That funeral pyre burning fine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, Fetty is actually on my favorite stage of Shadow Dancer right now. Just it's not really a hard stage, and the enemy layout isn't the greatest, but the design of the artwork and the music just mixes so well together in this scene. I love it.
And now for my favorite, but a little bit of nightmare stage of the game. Like, who doesn't want to see a ninja surfing through the entire section?
This is the most famous song out of this game. This track that is currently being played in Shinobi 3 is probably got the most metal covers I've seen on YouTube than any Shinobi song.
Whee! Yeah, we need to be very careful. We need to be very careful with power-ups here, because there will be a enemy that can hit ourselves while we're in the midair, and we don't want to lose the power-up because there will be a mid-boss coming up in a few minutes. So losing the power-up, that it's on this wave right now.
Let's see if he can manage.
I took damage. Yeah.
Oof.
I tried to anticipate I tried to anticipate the enemy, but I had a short jump. Okay.
So now he's going to have to hit the enemy, the mid-boss, 33 times as opposed to 11 times with the power-up, because remember, it's 3 times the output of damage if you have power-up. And one thing that Dagrun has found to work with that last little power-up like thing where you saw Sheen take damage, where they troll you, is Dagrun has found that if he fires off a kunai right before he reaches the ramp to jump, seems like by the time the kunai reaches over is when that person spawns up and it takes him out. It's not 100% effective. It is a very RNG heavy when they're going to spawn, where they're going to spawn kind of thing. But just in case anyone is ever in that situation, they're like, there's got to be a way. That is one way that you can try and mitigate that situation. Nice jazzy Shinobi walk. Boom, ba-doo, ba-doo-doo, ba-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, ba-doo-doo-doo-doo, ba-doo-doo-doo-doo, ba-ba. So Cypherin now working through Shadow Dancer with Fetty. Now Cypherin is a little more well-versed in Shadow Dancer than he is in Revenge of Shinobi. He has actually ran Shadow Dancer at a GDQ before. So he will probably be making quick work of this run and taking up a little bit more time that he might have lost in Revenge to kind of catch up with Fetty. Right now, Sheem is about half a game ahead from both of the runners named previously.
Okay.
He's trying to get the big jump right there. We got it.
Yeah, this jump is really precise. You need to jump
Very,
at the edge
very precise.
of the platform. If you don't do that, it's gonna be pretty bad.
Now this boss fight is another tricky one because you think, oh, I can just try and take it down as fast as possible. Wrong. If you take out this enemy's gun and shield too fast, it does this weird attack at the top of the screen after disappearing for like 2 seconds, and it just eats up a lot of time as opposed to him just starting to launch grenades at you and still having his hitbox open. So as you see, Sheem is kind of taking his time, taking out that shield. He didn't take it out too fast because he just wants this cycle to continue. And if it ever gets to a point like that, he could just jump on him right there, and boom, quick fight. GG's there, Sheem.
Thanks.
And now this is the point in the game of Shinobi 3 where it ramps the difficulty up by about 4 to 5. So you might have been like, hey, it was, challenging, but not too challenging. It was fun. This is where the game starts to get to you, where you think that nothing you do is right, and you messed up one time, and you're like, how can it be? Trust me, it's the game.
Oh yeah, and there's a little thing that can happen here if I don't get too careful, because we can get a soft reset on this game because of a lot of things going on the screen, so the game can handle that at once.
Yeah, if it happens, you'll see his screen kind of like flicker and pause for a second, and then you'll just see the Sega logo start streaming through the front again. Like it just straight takes you back to the beginning, like you just turned the count, like you just literally hit the white reset button on your Genesis.
Okay, done.
He has passed the point of no return, so we have no worries about that. Another main technique that Sheem is kind of unable to really do because of the way that he plays the games with his, because I'm assuming you're still playing on keyboard right now, right?
No, I'm a full controller.
Is it like an Xbox 360 or something like that?
No, it's the 8v2 controller.
We need to teach you how to do the fast kunai burst.
Yeah, I'm terrible with that. I did try to do that on the previous mid boss, but didn't go well. But yeah, I'm not that good with the rapid fire strats. But at least
There's a rapid fire. There's a rapid fire technique that is used to quickly take out the bosses in this game, Shinobi 3, and it's essentially just rolling from jump to attack over and over again in succession, and if you do it fast enough, your jump is canceled out by the attack, but then can be reinitiated at the end of the throw of your attack. And it's pretty neat to see when someone pulls it off really well. You'll just see a stream of kunai go across the whole screen, and they all count for damage, so nice. That is a really difficult clip to pull off, and Sheem just pulled it off in one go. That's amazing. Essentially, you're jumping to clip into the side with that kunai burst clip, and then he just activates the shadow jumper ninjutsu. I forget the actual name of it. I always forget. It's not Ikazuchi, that's a shield.
Fushin. It's Fushin.
Fushin. So he activates Fushin right there because essentially he's going to use that in the next scene that he just pulled off. And it's just faster to do that in the middle of the clip instead of doing it in the next scene. Uh-oh. So Fetty up here, dealing with the Statue of Liberty boss. Sneeze on the knee. Sneeze on the knee. Don't know if they know about the strat, where if you just take the little bounce back and kind of crouch and kneel towards the person's knee, they'll just walk back.
And yeah, it's a bit tight because you need to keep a certain distance between you and the boss to make it fall over the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that isn't as easy as it looks like, because if you get too close, you can bonk to the enemy and then he'll jump to the other side and then you have to do it all over again.
Like Siphon says, sneeze on the knee. Sneeze on the knee. Let's see if Siphon almost got that quick kill on the wheel boss. It gave him the set RNG path that he kind of wanted. It was a slight difference. It started moving up, but it was in that same area that he really wanted to have. But still, nonetheless, he made quick work of that boss.
Hopefully this will be the second to last auto-scroller of the game. This takes a lot of time. You need to jump from stone to stone. What? Okay, I swear I didn't press down there, but okay. I swear I didn't press down there, but okay. But yeah, you need to jump.
Unfortunately, with this, yeah.
I'm kind of
It's
sad
one of
right
those
now
levels.
because it wasn't supposed to come down. Okay.
So no matter how far up you are on that level, if you die, you start all the way at the bottom. There is no checkpoint other than the boss fight.
Yeah, like the whole section here is like 2 minutes. So imagine if you get yourself killed right at the end of the section, like you lose a couple of minutes. So yeah, in the end, there's another issue that the only power up we get on this stage is right at the beginning of those of these arrow scrollers. So we need to keep it until we beat the boss of the stage. So there's a lot of flying enemies here that if you don't take care, they're gonna hit you and then make your section be way slower than it's supposed to be. Okay, now the enemies are gone. Just need to keep it going right now. So there's a lot of stones to jump one to another here. Coming up, there'll be the pebble. Right over here. And we're basically through the stage. Oh no! And we lost the power up. Which is bad because the boss fights will be a little more slower.
Oops, forgot that ninja jumps.
Oh, okay. The mid boss is gone.
Yeah, he's quite a difficult guy without any shurikens powered up.
As well.
I mean, I meant shurikens powered up, but I got something in my throat in the middle of that, so I kind of just stopped talking. But also with that mid boss fight, is you can't use any damage ninjutsus on him because it doesn't do more than the damage necessary for the cycle that he has before turning back into the feathers. So it's a waste of a ninjutsu to even try that.
Oops. So here, we're gonna use the
Now Sheen is gonna do the wrong warp.
Oops.
It's a very difficult trick to pull off based on the timing and the damage that you need.
And first try.
There we go. Now he's going to have to do a quick little dive kick and press up at a certain point and then just wait. And you guys will see the magic happen.
No, the thing I do there is like I count to 5 when the full screen gets off. And then as soon as I count to 5, I just like press the dive kick and just wait for it. And then there's the boss fight. The whole labyrinth. So it's kind of funny that the 2 labyrinths of the trilogy, you can skip it entirely by doing the same.
And I half wonder if that was the devs doing something because they didn't want to do that every time they were testing.
Yep.
In Siphon there, finishing off Shadow Dancer and moving on to Shinobi 3.
Let's go. He's no stranger to that game as well.
Ooh. This is bad because I'm out of shurikens right now.
Okay, just do run sword slashes. There you go. Don't even matter.
Nice.
So that was the brother of the boss of Revenge, according to lore.
The last stage.
Some would say the most difficult. Some would say it's not that difficult. Some would all say it sucks.
I think it's the hardest of the Shinobi 3 because there's a lot of technique, a lot of optimizations going on, and if you mess it up, you can lose a lot of time.
I really like this stage because there's not any enemies except for mechanical, and so it's just absolutely pure platforming, and like what Sheem said, all technical. So you do feel like an idiot when you screw something up because you can't blame it on RNG or something.
I think that's kind of why I like this stage, is because it is more technical and not enemy heavy. I think that's where I like it a lot, is because it's like,
yeah, that makes a lot
I don't know,
of sense.
you feel more like a ninja. You feel like you're with the wind and like you're just encompassing all of your physical traits to their maximum potential on this huge mechanical machinery built by your enemy. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just something about the dichotomy between old nature, physical martial arts, and like new technology, machinery.
And it was a departure from, as we're seeing from 3 games just here on Genesis. We've never been up in the sky, really, in a Shinobi game. So it's kind of cool that the final battle takes place on this airship.
Mm-hmm. And as you all might have seen, the graphical upgrade that Shinobi 3 is from Shadow Dancer and Revenge, like they went all out on Shinobi 3. I think they took pretty much like all the top like artists and devs from all of their R&D teams at the time in Sega, and they were like, okay, give us all you got. Even the composers, this music isn't done by Yuzo Koshiro like Revenge of Shinobi, even though most people think so, but it is actually done by a team of 3 Sega Genesis musicians, or Sega like musicians, composers, whatever you like to say, and they actually did a lot of games. Well, the one most famous is the sumo wrestling game that was released in Japan only, but it literally uses like the same sound font as Shinobi 3, so you'll hear certain things in the soundtrack for the sumo game and you're like, oh, that was a sound effect that was used in Shinobi 3, and that's that composer's like signature. kind of like Yuzo Koshiro has like a very distinct signature with his music.
Well, and you're right about Sega's commitment to making Shinobi 3 the best they could. I don't know how much they had to remake this. You could probably tell me a lot more, Faust, but weren't they disappointed with the original prototype and had to change a lot of what we see now in the final game?
Oh yeah, the beta, the prototype that they had going on was completely different than this. I think it was actually made using a lot of the assets from Revenge of Shinobi, and they were just kind of using more updated graphics and different art style based on that. And none of the people that made it were happy with the prototype, so they just went back to square one and were like, okay, we just gotta go up and do this. So like in the original promo materials of Shinobi 3, you'll see like a picture, and it's the same image that's used on the North American box art, but in it you'll see this tiger kind of like in the sky, like in the sun background, and that was actually put there because there was actually tiger enemies in the game. Like there was a whole slew of different enemies that you had to face off against. The whole HUD's up display looked different. The graphics looked slightly different. It looked like it was kind of like a mixture of Revenge of Shinobi and Shadow Dancer for the Master System. It was very weird. Very, very weird. So then they went back to the drawing board and made this masterpiece. And thank God they did. Team now on the final climb. This is taking him to Neo Zed, who is actually a completely new enemy. He has no relation to any of the enemies from the previous games. It's almost like Dragon Ball Z-esque, where you'll have like a new enemy come in and he like recruited some of the enemies from the previous season for them to fight, and they think, oh, this person's back again, we gotta fight them. And then when they fight them and beat the shit out of them in like the third episode, then they're like, ha ha ha, I'm not the real enemy this time. It's kind of like that.
Okay, time's coming up.
All right, and time will begin on the fade out on black. As soon as the black screen appears, time.
GG.
And boom,
GG.
you're at 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 32 seconds for
GG.
Team Gabriel with the Shinobi Genesis Trilogy.
GG.
I'm not that rusty I think I was, but that was a good run after all.
And with Sheem's rusty run, he has pretty sure beaten my PB by about like a minute. So
Like my PB for the trilogy is like a 54,
yes,
but it's way optimized from what I have in my pocket. Like I have a 11-minute run on Shinobi. I think I have a 12 on
Shadow.
on Shadow Dance, and like my Shinobi runs like a high 25. So taking what I have, it was a good run, but 1 hour and 3 minutes, like considering that I didn't practice and was quite rusty, that I would take it. That was a good run.
So, for context, for anyone out there wondering, like, oh, is this even a good time or whatnot? Sheem kind of just broke it down to you in like the estimation side. So, 11 to 12 minute Revenge of Shinobi run, or another 11, 12 minute run of Shadow Dancer, and then about like a 25, 30 minute run of Shinobi 3. And you're going to get about, what was that, 30, 40? So you're looking at about like a 55, 54 minute range, just under an hour range if it's like slacking too much. So with the 40 seconds, it kind of evens out for the race side of things, but anything under an hour is really good. If you get an hour run and it's all 3 done, that's really good. I don't care what anyone says.
Yep.
I don't care about the elitism of it. Beating 3 games in an hour is just a feat on and of its own. For any sort of game it is. I kind of drew inspiration for this because of the Mario Hour runs. I don't know if anyone ever has seen or heard of those, but it's when they run through... It's where they run through every Super Mario game in an hour. So they go from Super Mario Brothers all the way through Super Mario Brothers 2, 3, Super Mario World, and Super Mario 64. And they do it all in an hour or less. And a lot of famous runners have done that feat. And I always thought of it as like the next crowning achievement for those runners. It's like, okay, I've got a good time in this run. I got a good time in this game. I got a good time in this one. What's like a good like culmination of that? Well, let's just do it all and try and see if we can do it in under an hour. So I drew inspiration from that and said, well, what about all the Shinobi games that were released on Sega Genesis? And when I first did it, it was like about an hour and 20-ish minutes, but that's because I knew I was bad at Revenge of Shinobi. And that was where a lot of my time loss was happening. And I knew that an hour or less could be done based on the estimations from the world records. And Sheem came along and proved that possibility. And I was eternally grateful for that. And the fact that we've got a few more runners trying this just makes me very elated. So I just want to say thank you again, Sheem, for showing that it was possible what I was thinking in my mind.
It was a pleasure because getting on the trilogy actually made me realize that I could get my timer down on every section. So I think later on I did improve on every game of the trilogy. So it was something that actually helped me getting further my PBs on Revenge, on the Shadow Dancer, and on Shinobi 3 as well. So I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for the trilogy bounty, I wouldn't get those times. So actually, thank you for doing that because.
Hey, that's all I could hope for. That makes me eternally happy and proud of that, is the fact that it pushed you to get more PBs in the 3 games. That's all I could ever hope for. So that's awesome. Thank you so much, man. That's amazing.
I really appreciate it. But well, there's a good race so far with Fede and Cypherin.
Yeah.
Especially Fede, who got the trilogy runs recently. So he's been improving a lot of his times on the trilogy. So it's good to see that he's getting alongside Cypher, who knows a lot of the Shinobi trilogy as well.
Mm-hmm. And Fetty said right from the get-go they hope that they just get a PB. And
well, let's hope.
It's also, I think, a good thing that you kind of see that they are kind of taking their time in some of the levels, but I have noticed that they were also taking a lot of risks in a lot of areas. So I think those are the moments where I feel like he's improving on his PB. And just to see the progress, I just love that stuff. I think I've reached that point as a speedrunner where the high of completing a speedrun doesn't do it for me anymore. I gotta see people's progress to be like, yeah, this run's it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure that Fede actually played one of the 3 games of the trilogy before getting into the run. So it is good to see the progress on it, because you see that he's improving and learning on every attempt. Just as Cypherin is actually on Shinobi 3 as well, and on Revenge, because I know that he's a good runner on the Shadow Dancer.
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe Fede, in both Sega 8, 1, and 3, Shadow Dancer and Shinobi 3 were featured, which Fede raced in. So I noticed So he was familiar with both those games, and I noticed before he did the trilogy, he put in an effort to beat Revenge of Shinobi. So I think that was the one he knew the least before he started running the game.
And that's a hard one to not know going into this trilogy bounty. It's just Revenge. It sucks that I had to put it first, but I did it in order of release based on the Genesis ports. So Revenge obviously came first, and then obviously Shadow Dancer came out in the arcades before Revenge came out on Sega Genesis, but we were going strictly on the console releases. So the Shadow Dancer port did indeed come out after the success of Revenge of Shinobi. So, and it sucks because it's kind of a gatekeeper game. It's really hard. It really is the hardest of the three.
I do think the setup works that way, because anyone who starts running this to the future, I always like the harder levels being early on. So if you end up resetting, you're not 45 minutes in and then you get to Revenge of Shinobi or something. Luckily, you get it out of the way, right away, and then I think that the games get easier as they go. Then you go Shadow, and then you get into Shinobi 3, which, again, is a very tough game, but I think it's the easiest of the three, even though it's longer.
Oh, yeah. I think by the time that you get to Shinobi 3, since you've endured so much difficulty with Revenge and Shadow Dancer, that it just feels way easier, even though it's not really that easy of a game in comparison to Shadow Dancer and Revenge of Shinobi. It is easier, but like I said, if you're coming off of a really hard game like Revenge, and then you're going into a game that's not necessarily too hard, but the fact of the matter is that it's one hit kill in Shadow Dancer. So any sort of time you take damage, you're dead. It's not like Revenge in Shinobi 3 where you can take a bit of damage and have a health bar. So that becomes difficult, especially if you get caught up in an area where there's a certain enemy that you just can't get past. There's just like that mental hoop that you need to get over, and you just keep dying to that one hit over and over again. So then by the time you get to Shinobi 3, it's like easier double jump mechanic, health bar like Revenge. You have a dash to run, which isn't in Revenge. And like I said, I think the most pivotal thing is the double jump. The fact that the double jump is so much easier to pull off in Shinobi 3 makes it more accessible for people to play the game. In almost every review I have seen or read of Revenge of Shinobi, every single person says if it wasn't for that double jump, this game would be great. If it wasn't for that double jump, this game would be great. And every single person, when I see a review about Shinobi 3, says this game's controls are amazing. It feels so fluid, and it feels like every single time I think of what I'm pressing, it's happening. And that's exactly what I think you need to have in a game like Shinobi, is you need to have that fluid movement like a ninja. I always say it like that, but it's cheesy to say, but it's true. You need to feel like a ninja when playing these games.
Well, we have Fede moving
on to Shinobi 3.
So right there at that
that's
1 hour
awesome.
15.
I didn't even know that. It's the great Sir Nico says the Shinobi series was so popular that Japanese ninjas actually call themselves Shinobi in his honor. I don't know if he's joking, if it's true, but I can see that being a thing. I mean, ninja culture kind of bled through in the 90s because of its like edgy, cool exterior. And I get that, looking back on it, you kind of may not seem like that anymore, but whenever I see or play these games or watch those movies, it takes me to that place. It completely takes me out of reality. Like it truly takes me to that feeling of being a kid and being like, wow, these people are so cool. Like I want to be like this. Like I think that's really hard to pull off with a lot of things, especially when you become an adult. You know, you kind of get, you know, like the wool over your eyes with reality, and you kind of just push this stuff aside. And the fact that even just seeing this trilogy tonight brings me to that place is a testament to its, you know, cultural imperativeness, I think. And so we got Cypherin on the second difficult part half of Shinobi 3. And we got Fetty just starting out. Oh, I'm sure it had to do with that pancakes. There's always something like that that always drives it, but at the end of the day, what that creates from members of society, like, because of that corporate, like, dominance, it creates a new avenue to be had by people that probably didn't have the means to see those things before. So then there's this whole new era of people creating something out of that, and it creates this like hybrid creation. You know, this is kind of like a discussion I was having with a friend of mine. They were saying, you know, it sucks that you know, they have like the artist as being like the starving artist. Like, it sucks that there has to be that thing. But he said, you know, but at the same time, he said, look at all the great like artworks. The things that speak to me personally the best are from people that made it when they were struggling the most. And he was like, and I think that that says something about creativity. He's like, I think it needs to be a struggle. Like, you need to be that starving artist. And, you know, it kind of struck me, and I was like, man, you know, maybe that's kind of true when it comes to certain things such as this too. If there's too much being forced on someone, eventually people that have to take that thing are going to create a way to hybrid that thing, to adapt it to what works best for them. And seeing the product of that, I think, is very interesting. Because, I mean, if you really think about it, Shinobi is a product of something just like that. Right, and so enough of that, we're going back to the game. So Fetty here working on the first boss, done. And Cypherin making his way through to the Mecha Gojira. In this first auto-scroller stage, for Fetty, I'll kind of explain the mini-boss quick kill strats that have been coming up the last few years as well. Now that we've all seen Sheen pull it off and Fetty's going to come through, I'll just explain it even if they attempt it or not. But that boss, there's two ways we found that it's kind of fast to kill. There's a certain point at which the sprite in the background when moving reaches where we can jump, and it'll connect to points where we can pull off 3 hits on the boss in their jump before they land down. Because essentially he's going to come through, throw a bunch of stuff, land, and then come back through and repeat that cycle. And it takes up a lot of time, and the thing is that's a very tight window to pull off those 3 hits, because essentially you're going to be able to pull off the first 2 hits when you're in the jump as he's coming in and you both are descending down. The third hit is very hard to hit, but if you pull it off, it's very fast because it's 1 cycle. Now, to subvert that and just avoid any of that at all, there's a point to where you can also jump up or wait for him to jump through, and you will be able to use the Mijin ninjutsu before he's even on the screen. You'll kind of see like his knee pop out of the side of the screen, and it'll take him out instantly. Now, the time loss that comes in there is by using the actual ninjutsu. Anytime you use a ninjutsu, you're at a time loss, unfortunately, but it's just the way that it is based on the top times of this game. Ciphering onto Mecha Gojira. A very somewhat tedious boss. Just dealing with the myriad attacks that he throws. You got falling debris, these laser items, and then he'll start doing like a flamethrower attack, and it's just a little bit of disorientation going on. But Ciphering here pulling through with the Ikazuchi lightning shield strats very well, and he's actually pulling off these shots with the kunai so well. I actually have never seen that kill done in any speed run of Shinobi 3. That was actually really awesome to see, because most of the time runners will just expend all their kunai and take off that boss kunai-less strats with sword attacks or running slashes. So that was pretty awesome.
I have to agree. I really only see sword slashes on that boss, and that might have been a little bit quicker. That was very impressive.
Yeah, like really, really impressive. GG, Ciphering.
Thank you.
Mecha Shiva. Mecha Shiva. Mecha Shiva. We'll say it's quote-unquote Mecha Brontosaurus. Both runners at an auto-scroller stage, so not much to really elaborate on. Just the fact that one's at the far end and one's at the beginning end. And the quick kill for this boss is you shoot it once with a power-up, and then you can move over to Mijin and take it out, and that will be it. But unfortunately, Fetty does not have his ninjutsu, so he can't use that strat, so he's going to have to try and take it down the normal way, which, all intents and purposes, still doing a great job so far. Taking in that damage boost. Nice. Very good backup on that. Ciphering just now hitting into the mini boss for the traps level. Ugh. With no power up too, that's rough. But he didn't have to use the ninjutsu Ikazuchi shield in the beginning. That takes up some time loss, so he is eating that up right now. And he actually made it up all the way, which is very difficult to do. It's nerve-wracking. Okay, Fetty getting some power up and some backup kunai. He knows that he doesn't want to lose as much kunai as possible, because there is a point where if you do lose count, you're left with kunai-less strats, and if you don't have a power up with kunai-less strats, that's very hard to pull off, because you have to get very up close and personal, because you're essentially just taking your daggers and slashing at them. Alright, and Ciphering moving on to the Maze of Traps with one of the best soundtrack songs in existence. This track right here, the bass alone is so... Oh, just sounds so good. It's like you can't even believe it's coming out of a Sega Genesis FM synth.
And I'm curious here of which path Ciphering's taking, and it looks like he is...
is he going for the new route?
I think this is the old for route.
They've started doing this again.
Have they really? Okay.
Yeah. they started doing this. I think Dagrun was doing this at GDQ. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he ran the bottom route. No, he did the wrong warp.
The wrong warp,
Slifer's
yeah, because you don't have to...
Yeah, he did the wrong warp. Slifer's just doing the old route. Okay. There was something else that... Oh, no, that was in the... that was in the Mechagodzilla stage. That Dagrun went to the bottom route instead of going up and around. That's what it was. That's the new thing.
And nicely done getting through that section by Cypher. And all those pinchers are one-hit kills and can be very nerve-wracking when going that route.
Oh, yeah. So now we got to play the game of Guess the Mirage. And Cypher picking out real quick. I don't know if Cypher knows that if he just does a Mesian as the two shadows come out, it will do the one.
Oh, okay.
And it's really cool seeing all three of these games back to back to back, because then you really get to see all the originality that they kept putting into the boss fights each time. They made a new Shinobi game.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, man, it's a testament. These games are testaments. It's like with, the last kind of trilogy that comes to my mind, kind of like Shinobi in that aspect that Booster is describing, is the Jak and Daxter series, I think. Because you go from like this one way to then like totally different way, and then to like a combination of the two. And that's kind of how the Shinobi series ends with Shinobi Legions. Shinobi Legions was the last foray from Sega with Shinobi until the PS2 era. And they kind of knew it was coming. So I feel like the dev team knew that too for it at Victor Kai. And you can definitely feel when you play Shinobi Legions that it has elements of Revenge of Shinobi, Shadow Dancer, and Shinobi 3. But more specifically, like, not like the arcade of Shadow Dancer or Shinobi and like all aspects of them. No, I'm like, it feels like they took all aspects from the Sega Genesis releases. There's like elements of each of those in it. And so I always liken it to like a compilation of the three. And yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to see that how video games transgress through things like that, I guess. And if you pull off, like, if you're going to make a video game series, I feel like video game series that I don't like, they always fail at a certain point of keeping that momentum like that I just described, I feel. So I don't know. Just my opinion in theory.
And you know what's really cool about the Saturn Shinobi Legions is they decided to keep the 2D platforming aspect of the game, just with enhanced incredible graphics, before moving on to like the 3D world of, PlayStation 2. But here in 2023, I think 2D's made such a comeback that if they ever did revisit Shinobi, I'd love to see a new Shinobi game, but a 2D platformer game.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you there. Totally 100% agree with you there. And I don't know if I would like it if it was like the 3D Shinobi PS2.
And that might be why the character hasn't returned, but now we live at a time that I think people can appreciate that 2D aspect, and they could bring the character back.
They did have a 2D 3DS version.
Really?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that Shinobi 3?
Yep, it does. Yep.
I think that if I don't know, I like I said, I agree. I just agree with you, Booster. I like the 2D aspect of it. It's more like that Japanese play where like you just see like every element of the game's assets is pivotal to what's going on in the story, like the backgrounds aspects, the foregrounds aspects, your character, your enemy sprites, even the weapon design and the way that things are, they're all pivotal to how the story is being told, I feel. And it's in that aspect, like that Japanese like play style, that I think if they did it like that, in that 2D style, and continued in that same vein, then it would be extremely successful. Kind of like Streets of Rage 4. Like Streets of Rage 4, the reason why it was successful was because it maintained the core vein of what it was, and that's you gotta have it 2D-ish, and you gotta have it in this realm to where nothing funky is gonna happen to be making everyone go bleh. But then when you incorporate new stuff into it, have it with the old stuff in mind to where it like molds together well. Because I thought Streets of Rage 4, the developers did a pretty good job with that. Felt like it was a very good continuation of how it was. I won't say it's the best in the series, but it's definitely still in the same vein. And I fear that if they do Shinobi, it's exactly like you said, Booster. I feel like it might be the reason why they don't do it yet is because they're caught between two different generations. There's the 2D and then there's the 3D. And the 3D is vastly different of an experience than the 2D. Mm-hmm. It's great. I love the PS2 Shinobi, but it's a different experience. It takes me to a different place other than the other ones.
Well, and I don't know how successful it was, but what comes to my mind was The Messenger, and I'm pretty sure that was pretty well received by everyone, and that has that 2D, more Ninja Gaiden ninja experience. But the whole time I've ever seen it play, I'm always just like, God, they could have made this a Shinobi game so easily.
Mm-hmm. Any game come to mind right now that's like that?
Yeah. The Messenger. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, Mark of the Ninja.
Mark of the Ninja. Mark there you go. Ninja?
Yeah, if you all have ever played that, I feel like it has some good. It has elements where you can play it very stealthily. Whoa, that was crazy. I just teleported to the bottom here, but yeah, it has elements where you can be stealthy or you can like rush through and kill enemies. I think it's worth checking out.
The only other game that's similar to this kind of stuff that was more stealthy was Tenchu that I played.
Oh yeah, I love Tenchu.
Yeah, and anyone wondering what happened with Cyphrin, the screen, he's up above the screen, and you get to a point where the game has to reload, and so it'll teleport you back down by that checkpoint where Cyphrin ended up.
Mm-hmm. Now he's going to go for the Electric Boogaloo clip. That's not the real name of it, but
this is a tough clip.
The toughest clip.
I didn't know you could do that with the Ikazuchi.
And with Fushin.
Yeah, it's even tougher now. Now that they don't do the lightning shield, but the
Yep, they do Fushin straight into it. It's like, damn, dude. They take advantage of the fact that when you initiate the Fushin ninjutsu, Joe has a slight few seconds, like I don't even think it's like a few seconds. I think it's like a few milliseconds.
Oh, nice.
Oh, he walked to the other side. Oh.
He had to unfortunately, instead of continuing to hold left, he had to start crouching and do some dive attacks to increase the height of Joe's sprite. And then he would have been able to hit B, C in succession, which would have made him stand up. And if he would have been holding left, Joe would have been scrolling all the way to the end of the level. But unfortunately, Cyphrin did not have that height. And this is why they use Fushin. They use Fushin because Fushin continues on into this screen, and Fushin on this screen is pivotal to the any percent setup because they have it counted down to how many jumps you take, and then they throw a kunai to continue on the right side of another jump to avoid getting hit by any of those shocking barriers. Hey, Cyphrin pulling off the magic grab.
Shout outs to Bacon.
Betty on the Mecha Godzilla level, not too far behind, just a few levels away. Pulling a Mijin here. He has greater than 9 lives. There we go. Cypherin pulling it out. Hopefully. Can he do it? Oh, I was fooled.
Oh,
what?
oh.
I was about to be like, the dodging, dodging.
And you can see Cyphern's playing on expert because of that shortened health bar, so it definitely makes this final fight much, much tougher.
I got fooled. I thought he was pulling it out. And then he started the attack. He does the same animation that he just did for that attack before he dies, too. So sometimes you get fooled. You're like, oh. Oh my gosh, the dodging. Cyphering, the machine.
Clutch City. Smart move here.
Smart move there, yes, but just know if he's going to pull another Mijin, make sure that he is in the air, because then he will take damage. If not, he will just appear behind Joe with his arms crossed, all smug. I love that detail, too. Oh, uppercuts.
In my toe, he shot me in my toe.
Messenger. Everyone's saying Messenger and Mark of the Ninja. All right, I'll try Mark of the Ninja. I'll try Messenger as well. See, now watch, he'll take damage. Oh. When I found that out, you best bet I abused that. I was like, all right, every time he jumps, Mijin. Take it. Love it. Cypherin's saying no way for the last Mijin. I'm just gonna take it. And that's, I believe, ooh, fooled again.
Oh, now it goes.
Now we got him.
There we
There
go.
we go.
That's a GG for
And-
Cyphern.
GG Cypherin, your time is 138.51. GG's.
So I didn't finish Revenge, so
Your time is disqualified.
right. But we can continue to cheer on. We can continue to cheer on Fetty though.
Oh yeah, making his way through.
Thinking Revenge, yeah. I already knew coming into it, Revenge was gonna own me so bad. Like, I don't know, it's a weird thing where sometimes I can do pretty good at that game, and then other times, and it's not a matter of like not having played it for a while or anything. It's just like that game will do.
This turns into a train wreck.
Yeah, it just does what it wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or like the dock jump doesn't work. With Sheem, it didn't work. Falling from the ledge.
And then when he does it in the run, it pulls it off instant. That was what made me laugh. I was like,
yeah, he was teaching me how to like make that part easy, and I think I died twice there, maybe on that
Yeah,
jump.
that jump is difficult. Even going by that strat, you can miss it out by jumping earlier. So or jumping or double jumping earlier. So yeah, it is a difficult jump, regardless.
Yeah, Yeah. We got
Revenge
to
Shinobi.
yeah,
What a
revenge being
game.
revenge. What a game.
What a game. Oh, revenge. The lore. Now, Fetty almost here at the Mecha Godzilla fight. Or
Also,
quote
just
unquote Cyber Dragon, as they said in the book.
I would say also keep in mind Fetty is coming off of Nescathlon that just happened yesterday. And
Oh, wow.
I think he had like 16 or 17 hours that went into that. To have the energy here to be taking part in the trilogy, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really funny how when we showed up for this race and Sheem's like, oh man, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I was really restless.
Yeah.
And Fede's like, yeah, I didn't get a lot of sleep either. And Sheem's like, oh, you restless too? And Fede's like, no, I spent 16 hours playing Nescathlon. He's like, and now you're doing this? You crazy speed runner, you.
Right.
The speedrunners. Speedrunning endurance and sleeplessness. Yeah, that's right. I wish Fetty was in the race room talking so he could hear me say that if you just do a running slash, you can do a double tap and attack, and he'll do a running sword attack, and that is 3 hits no matter what, if you have power or not. The sword does 3 hits no matter what.
I like the brute force
I do
method
too.
he took, though.
That commitment. He was like,
Yeah.
motherfucker, fucking. It's like all I can hear the ninja saying is, you what? And I just want to point out, like we were saying with that theme of Shinobi, kind of taking from the other games and stuff like that. Booster was pointing out that Revenge had similar enemies and bosses from Shinobi 1, maybe like a throwback to it. And another one I kind of just noticed after many years of playing this game is in Revenge of Shinobi, there is a boss fight with a brain inside of a thing, right?
Is that the
second
evolution?
boss fight is a flying brain in like a jar. So it's essentially like a callback to that fight.
And well, you
It's
also
just-
have the brains on the meat level too.
That too.
A lot going on.
Yeah, very cool.
Just kind of made that connection. Holy shit. I must say that I know Fetty's playing on an emulator, but his capture is really clean. I got this mobile on the highest settings right now, and it is buttery looking. And that's another thing that a lot of people discuss with Shinobi 3 is the technical achievements of it. It definitely pushes the Sega to its max. It's pushing it. But the thing of it is that there's really like little to no lag. Like there are some moments of lag, like in that water level. It seems like when there's levels with a lot of water elements going on, there seems to be some lag. But for the most part, the only other time I see there's some lag is in traps when there's like those areas where there's like 12 enemies coming at you at once and you just do a kunai burst. It seems to lag out then. But for the most part, you got all these backgrounds moving at high, fast paces and everything else coming and going in very succinct flows, and just to see the technical achievement back then, it's like seeing drawings come to life. It's like creating computerized cartoons. And while he is going into traps, I'm going to take a 5-minute break real quick. I'll be right back.
Eddie taking the same route that I took, though a bit differently here.
Yeah, I think he's going the intended way.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Siphon was able to clip through those walls there, you can see at the bottom.
I was lazy. This is one of my favorite stages in the game, though. I love this maze. And to Faust's point earlier, I love the song here that plays, or the soundtrack for this stage.
Yeah, this and Body Weapon are my two favorite tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was super impressed you getting through all these pinchers up here, Cypher, and that's such a very nerve-wracking spot.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's because I've died many a times, many a times on these.
It's very easy to touch the bottom smaller spikes, and they'll kind of damage boost you backwards a little bit into those pinchers. That's always the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And Fede getting it
nice
through there
work
as well.
Very nice. On to the boss. I think Faust said wasn't the last boss from Revenge, but has some relation to it.
Yeah, the brother.
Oh yeah.
They didn't have the hair whip as it didn't leave their head. They didn't have that skill down like their older brother did, but it's still pretty strong.
Thank goodness, because that's what took me out today. Is the hair whip in Revenge has its own speed. Like one time is like really slow, another time is just like whoosh, it just comes out so fast.
And such a difficult fight, and you have the time restraint too, because to get the good ending, you gotta save the lady.
Mm-hmm. Just like good old Spider-Man versus Kingpin. I love that both of those games have that. So which is worse, getting squashed like a pancake or getting dipped in acid?
Neither way would be good. I do have to say that Revenge hides it, where in Spider-Man is front and center that Mary Jane's dying. It's just, awful to watch.
Yeah. I wouldn't say Revenge hides it either. She gets turned into a pancake. My friend was like, you know what? Her new name is Pancake. It's just like, ooh. I guess, yeah, Mary Jane's is worse because then Revenge, you could pretend it's like a cartoon character and they get the Looney Tune smash and, she comes out from under, she's just completely flattened, but she'll, inflate herself after the fact and walk off and be mad at Joe.
Yeah, and something happens at the end of Comic Zone. You also have to save the lady in time as well. I don't remember what happens if you don't.
Oh yeah, she drowns.
Oh man, what another awful way to die.
Yeah, she's in some kind of tube where like in that area is a rocket. It looks like a rocket ship or some tanks that you can hit a switch and it'll shoot out fire, like it'll trigger an ignition. But all the while she's drowning in some tube on the upper floor.
That is rough.
Yeah, it is. I forgot about that. Another great game though. Mm-hmm. Love Comic Zone. Nice. Great job.
All right, and our last runner on the last level. Not only some of these jumps tough, as Fede just showed off there, but, I have to say, especially after 3 of these games, just getting to this point on this game, your hands are sweaty. The game's telling you have to hold up the whole time or you're gonna fall, and it's one of the toughest things to do at this point, where you just want it to be done, and now the game's forcing you to hold up the whole time so you don't fall to your death.
Yeah, and it's so impressive to watch when you see runners like Sheem and Dag and Bacon, A-Frame, just go through here so crisp,
Yeah, without having to worry about the big jet blasts, they're able to go through so quick.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh. Yeah, those are probably worse than the big jets, the little steam vents there. Because especially there's a point partway through where you can't even hit them with your kunai. So like right now where Fetty is, like if he gets up there, he can destroy it to make the traversal much easier. But then there's going to be a point where it's like, no, we're too like high up for you. You can't hit it, but you can still destroy them, but you got to jump up a certain way to take them out. But nope, they don't face Fetty. He's just moving on through. Doing some good strats to take it. This is the part I'm talking about right here. Like those you can't
they're a little
easily
too high.
Take out. Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a way to kind of glitch the game to where you can hit them.
Yep.
All right, the last auto scroller.
Yeah, I love a staple of mine is dancing on elevator stages. And so I definitely make sure to dance on this one too.
The real question that I want to know is, when you're in IRL on an elevator in real life, do you dance,
Yes.
Cyphrin?
Yes.
There we go. Now we know.
Yes, I do. So long as I'm by myself.
And Fede has a chance to finish off sub 2, but that will be difficult. We'll see what happens here. But any time for all three of these games around 2 hours is so impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And coming off a 17-hour Nescathlon.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yep. Yeah.
Ooh, pulling off that jump. Nice. Seems like Fetty is more familiar with Shinobi 3, like you were saying, Booster.
Well, it was probably the previous closest one that he's raced, because it was in our the last Sega 8. Shinobi 3 finished off the race.
Yep. That makes sense then. What a race.
And speaking of races, next month on RGL for the Sega Rings of Champions 2, we already have the theme. It's going to be September Stallone. So all three games will be Sylvester Stallone games, and we'll have that list. We'll officially post it next Sunday when here on RGL, the Sega crew is going to be bringing the top 10 countdown of 1990 Sega Genesis games. Last month we did 89. This month is 1990 games, and that should be a lot of fun.
Oh man, the Rambo, Stallone, Cliffhanger.
There's so many good Stallone games, and they are kind of cheesy, but when you play them, they're actually, decent games. I don't think they're great
Rocky?
games, but they're all decent
Rocky
games.
on the Master System? That one's a pretty decent one.
That one,
It's a hard one. But...
if you don't mind mashing, that one's pretty good.
Wait, which game was that?
Rocky on
Rocky.
Master System.
Oh, I've
Yes.
seen it, and I think I may have played it when I was a kid, but it's been so long.
If Cliffhanger's on that list, oof, good luck.
Ooh, good luck. I was just thinking that too.
I've seen Brando run that game, and you know, Brando is like, "Ah, man, look, it's like this." And then I try it, and then I'm like, "Oh,
It's not like that at all, Brando. You lied to me. Yeah, he makes hard games, kind of like Cyphrin. You know, both him and Brando make hard games look easy.
shoot, man." He was like, "Oh, try Young Indiana
no.
Jones."
Oh,
And I'm like,
Lord.
"God, man." He's like, "Yeah, just jump on the ice like this," and I'm trying it, and I'm like, "Jesus, how do you do this in 13 seconds?"
Oh yeah, Cliffhanger is no joke, and I think the continues are limited. Like once you game over, you got to start. I think you might have one continue, but then you game over after that. That's it. You got to start all the way over.
Probably one of those games where it's like you gotta find the continue item.
Mm-hmm. You earn it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you have to get a certain high score point. Like Streets of Rage. Ay. I always thought it was so cool in Streets of Rage that the pickup for an extra special was the police car.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's so cool. It's a little police car. They're so cool. How do they
That's
do
what
that?
it is.
It's really what it is.
When I was a kid, I thought I thought the one up icon on Streets of Rage 1 was a certain kind of sweet. I don't know. I was like, oh, it looks like a sweet to me.
That's funny you say that, because then in World of Illusion, the candy is health, like the most health. It gives you like 3 health or something. And I'm like, yeah.
They know what's up.
I think it took me like a decade to realize that it was just the small characters all together. I was like, no,
Yeah.
I thought it was a sweet or something.
I always thought it was like a small, like 3-bit rendition of Axel, because that was the only person I could make out, and it was like the white, yellow, and blue of him. I was like, okay, so is it like?
Oh my god!
Oh, great save! Great save!
That's one thing I like
was
about this
a
game
puncher.
is, even on the traps, you can, your sprite can be almost all off screen and you still have a chance to save yourself.
Mhm.
I didn't know you could wall jump off of those fallen. I don't know what they are. The little silver cylinders. They remind me of missiles.
pillars.
Yeah, those pillars. I didn't know you could wall jump off of those.
Yep.
Or did he wall jump, or was that a double jump?
I think he wall jumped off of the inlet wall on
Yeah,
the right
that's-
and did a double jump up.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. So right at the
But you
platform.
can double jump. But you can wall jump off those pillars. You can wall jump off of anything physical in this game. If Joe Musashi's sprite can edge up against it like he's being blocked, and it looks like a physical wall, he can wall jump off of it.
Well, Confetti's sub 2 hours. Here we are at the final boss.
Let's
It's
go.
possible here.
Let's go.
Yeah, it is. It's possible.
Faust, really quick.
That's right.
What's the history with this boss? Is there any kind of special Shinobi lore?
Like I said, he is like a completely new version. He's like an amalgamation of like Joe Musashi's like ninjutsus and stuff like that. I don't know. It's hard to describe. All they say is that it's Neo Zed, an organization that's taking over the remnants of Zed that you've taken down before, and it's like a new mysterious enemy. Like I said, I think they were going for like that Dragon Ball anime trope of like, oh, the enemy that you fought last season is now back again, and they're like, oh, it's gonna be the same stuff. But then when you beat them 3 episodes in, they're like, actually, I was hired by this guy. And it's like, oh,
And time's coming on for payday.
There we go. So close to that
Right.
sub 2, but right at 2 hours.
2 hours and
And
30
GG.
seconds 2 hours and 30 seconds exactly.
Oh my goodness. Amazing.
GG. Fetty.
Great job.
All of the runners today, congratulations. You have done a feat that many have not done. And if this wasn't back in the 90s, I'm sure Sega Corporation of America would be like, oh, let's send them all a letter. But I think the discussions that we kind of had over this has kind of made me think that maybe we should, I think we need to have like a Sega Crew RGL TV, like kind of like podcast where we all just kind of meet up one night, maybe do like a race or a run of a Sega game or any other game, and we all just kind of reminisce about it and link it to different things in society, whether it's art, music, or computers or whatever have you not.
It sounds like a good idea.
Just throwing it out there.
That sounds super fun to me. Anything that, gives me a chance to hang out with you guys and talk about video games.
We can have everyone in the community come on board. We could have like a running like list of people who want to like be on the podcast, and then we can like invite everyone per session. Be like, okay, we're gonna have these people on this week, these people on this week. Not have it beholden to just like, oh, we're only gonna have like one or two well-known runners. Like I want it to be like an open thing where it's like, okay, we're gonna discuss this game. Anyone who feels like they want to sign up here. Boom. We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to hit the timer.
Hoping we can get Fetty up in here. He's see if we can get Fetty to just speak to the run really quick.
Yeah, let me pull him back in here.
There we go.
Hey, Fede, GG. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello.
Great job.
GG.
Yeah, that was very hard to do again. I died a lot of times in Revenge of Shinobi and Shadow of Dancer, so no PB.
That's all right.
Well,
You still put on a great show, though.
Except for Shinobi 3, I did a PB.
Nice. So well, GG
very
to that then.
So yeah,
GG.
something good. GG's.
And the fact of the matter is that you've done something that not many people have done, and that's beat all three of the Sega Genesis Shinobi games in a single feat, one go.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
that's amazing, and I really enjoyed those three games. My favorite is the third one, and well, it looks like it's the best.
Yes. Yes, it is. All right. Well, I think if that is all, we at the Sega Crew thank everyone out in the RGL TV world and in the retro gaming community world for coming out tonight. Once again, RGL TV, thank you again for hosting, and we look forward to more events with you all. And be sure to check out the Shinobi community, speedrunning community, if you feel like you want to do this. We do have this bounty open until August 7th. August 7th is the last day for this bounty, and right now Sheem is at the top with his 54 time. Am I correct on that, Sheem?
Yep.
And so he's currently in first place, and I believe the original amounts were 100 for first, and then it was like 50 for second, and then I think it was 25 for third and fourth, or something like that. I don't know. I forget that, but I think Cyphern said something about adding some money. Cyphern, am I correct on that?
Yep, that's correct. And I still will. I'll still add to that. So we definitely, well, as much as I'd love to give it to Sheem, and right now it looks like he's going to take it all. we definitely would like more people to get in on these fantastic games. So yeah, I can't remember exactly what the additions that I said I would add, but just know it's a sweet pot. And right now, Sheem is looking to take most of it. Well, Fetty will be there too, right? I believe.
Yep.
Well, I'm not counting
second?
my time in there because of being like the first one, so I don't want to have that muddy the bounty waters of it at all because there hasn't been that many runs. So I would say Cypherin, you're now in second, and Fetty is now in third.
Oh, I don't count in that. And
Okay, so now it goes Sheem and Fetty.
Yes,
Yeah,
as
and
much
if
as
you
I want
want
to
to
say I
learn,
finished.
if you want to learn the games, there's a lot of tutorials for that. There's the tutorial for Shinobi Free. There's the tutorial for Revenge of Shinobi as well. So I think the only game that doesn't have yet is the Shadow Dancer, but there's a lot of people who runs the game at the community that could help you on learning some of the strats. So
Between me and Cypherin, it would be you guys are pretty set with Shadow Dancer.
yeah, they're like me, Scythe, Mo,
Yeah,
for
and,
Ninja as well. There's a lot of people on
Afro
the
Ninja.
community that could help with Shadow Dancer.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we're all pretty quick to bite whenever someone is like, "Hey, I have a question about this part in Shadow Dancer." It's like you'll see within 24 hours, all of us are like, "Hey, yeah, glad you're asking. We love this." So, feel free to ask any more questions to any of us. Feel free to reach out at any point in time. We'll get back to you as soon as we can, and we're all pretty accessible. So, yeah. Once again, GG's to all the runners, and
someone fire up and get that third place on the bounty, because on August 6th, if no one else is, I'm gonna fire it up and do it myself then.
That's right, Booster. That's right,
That would be
Booster.
cool as well.
alrighty. Well, if that is all, then I'm going to bid the racers and Booster and all of you out there adieu. I hope you all have a great evening.
Thanks for watching, and Sega Crew will be back next Sunday for the top 10 countdown of 1990 games. And we'll see you then. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone.
See ya.